everybody. Rick, Jerry, Julie. We are all friends here. There are no strangers when you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. We are all friends here. There are no strangers when you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. We are all friends here. There are no strangers when you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. Yes, we hold you in our hearts the way you are. Good morning. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living in St. George, Utah. And we're glad you're all here on this beautiful day, and I'm glad that I get the chance to introduce our esteemed and spiritual leader, Rev Joe Kovach.
Thank you, Alan. Round of applause for our musical crew today. Got that harmonica pumping this morning. Good morning, friends and family. How are we feeling this fine, cool October day? Right, nice. Did you guys happen to see the lightning storm last night? You were able to see it as well, huh? Yeah, I've never seen anything like that, even from back east. That was just lasted so long and so brilliant in the sky. Life is just so beautiful when we just pause and take a look at it. Looking around, I don't see anybody brand new, so we will just know that you're new today. It's a brand new baby day. And maybe you're new online, so we welcome you to our community. So there's no need to give out new books. However, I will draw your attention to the card. Two things. Well, we do have brand new, Reverend Rachel and I put together these brand new bookmarks that are available at our table, as well as our first attempt at our marketing with the new Arise purpose on there, and we can give these out. We did find one spelling error. Thank you, Bill. So we will redo that, but Reverend Rachel and I put a lot of time into this, and the idea, which we will go through later, is to share the good message of what we're doing here. And so we are just continuing to move ahead, and in less than a week, we're going to have our first big gala in forever, and we're going to have some guests to honor, and it's going to be just a grand time. So, and I believe, Marina, we're at capacity, correct? How about that? Spirit, prayers answered. Prayers answered. So we are just going to take a few minutes for those of you that are here to go ahead and meet and greet, say hello to your neighbor, and we're going to listen to a little instrumental during that time. So go ahead and get up and say hello. right. Bring the good vibes to a close. And while you're getting back to your seat, we just want to acknowledge this doesn't happen without assistance, so we want to acknowledge our volunteers today. We have Christy on our sound tech. Christy, is that a somewhat easy job to assist with?
Oh, yeah, it's my favorite.
It's your favorite, all right, because if you'd like to help out, we could always use some help there. Marina helping on our tech. That's a little more advanced, but yet very doable. Not hard, we would say. Yes. Who else do we have? Trilby helped out, correct? Yep. And who else was setting up? Yep, Donna. So I couldn't remember who was actually here before I walked in. So grateful, grateful, grateful. And if you're interested in assisting, look, even once a month, even once every 3 months, it gets rotation, right? So we don't feel so overwhelmed, and that's what we definitely don't want to avoid as a small center. So as we're building, we appreciate those who are, investing in our own community. So in this moment, we're going to shift share, I guess, our flames of faith. My official gonger, would you like to come up? And he asked, and I'm like, yeah, if I don't have to do too many things at once, we'll do that. And, well, I'll volunteer. Thank you, Tony, for doing our slides, keeping me in order, which is the biggest thing possible. All right, let's begin with a collective breath. And in that perfect breath and perfect life, we perform the Flames of Faith ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all things, all beings come from one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. We first light the unity candle, which represents the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light a candle honoring shamanic traditions and their beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light a candle acknowledging all forms of new thought, including centers for spiritual living, the metaphysical path of a personal relationship of healing through the practice of universal spiritual principle. We light the next candle, honoring inclusivity, affirming that those that are seeking a stronger knowing and understanding of divine love are welcome here. Nothing exists outside of God. You are welcome here. We now light the healing candle and invite you to silently offer into the light the names of loved ones, knowing that they are now the perfect expression of Spirit's eternal wholeness and love. Let's take one last collective breath together. Breathe in and release. affirming all is well, perfect, whole, and complete, and so it is. All right, thank you, Bill.
There's so much to be thankful for. Take a look around and see everything we have within, everything we want to be. All we need to sustain us and keep us arise on time everywhere. Let us thank God for our blessings and for all the precious love we share. There's so much to be grateful for. Take a look around and see everything we have within us, everything we want to be. All we need to sustain and keep us arrives on time as we prepare. Let us thank God for our blessings and for this precious love we share. There is precious love. There is precious love. There is precious love everywhere. Now Bill's going to offer our invocation and read.
Thank you, Alan. I invite you to join me for today's invocation. As I become aware of the presence that I feel in my body, feel around me, that presence of that one true power, the one true powerful source of everything in this universe. I know that as I become aware of this source, of this power, that it opens me and that it creates that knowingness of the oneness that I share with this one power. And as I know that I am just one of many of the whole, I know that each and every one of us in this room, within the sound of my voice, whether it's live or under recording, is one with this power, is one with this force. And I know it is this power and this force that drives this Sunday celebration toward goodness and openness. And I know that the talk and the music opens me and creates a shift in me that brings me closer to God, closer to what I crave in my life, which is that constant evolution. So I just let it be so, knowing that it is good, and so it is. Oh, I get to stay for the reading. Okay. Today's reading, I chose a selection from the Science of Mind magazine for October, for today, actually. And it is, excuse me, originally came from a 1943 publication called Lessons in Spiritual Mind Healing by Ernest Holmes. And he says, possibly we might compare the actions of this universal mind to an infinite reservoir of water high up in the mountains. We already have the pipe laid from this reservoir to our dwelling. It is piped into the kitchen, the bathroom, and perhaps into various other places of the house. We turn on the faucet, and out it flows. The water flowing through the pipes does not know whether we are going to use it to boil eggs or make ice cubes. And of course, it knows nothing about a complicated sprinkler system for the lawn. However, the day arrives when this system is installed. We lay the pipe, and every few feet we put in an outlet. Next, we turn on the water, and automatically the lawn is sprinkled. We have given a new form to a fluid that had no design within itself, relative to us until we gave it one. In like manner, we personalize all the laws of nature we use. This clear metaphor of the water delivery system spells out how we personalize an impersonal creative principle which subconsciously knows what it's doing in a general sense, but not why or toward what end. Consciously, we have plans and lay pipe, so to speak, to achieve a particular outcome of improved conditions. And so it is.
It is. Thank you, Joe. So we're going to, Bill, thank you too, Joe. And Bill, thanks for showing up, my friend. So this one's a little bit faster than that last one we did, so if you feel like it, you're welcome to stand up and jiggle around a little bit. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Now look at the person next to you. See, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. From every walk of life, every creed and color, in kinship we unite, in honor of the God in each other. Hey, take a look at the person next to you. See, I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love. Thank you. Thank you. And now, Reverend Joe Kovach.
But let's give a round of applause for that uplifting song. We do come together. That's why we're here, recognizing we're already together as one. And I'm just going to jump right into today, because you know what? A little something different. I don't have any slides. What? What? Let's play the lotto. That doesn't happen that often. Must be something on the horizon, indeed. So I'm going to do what I call preach for a minute, and then we're going to get into some experiential things. So this both comes from Ernest Holmes. Sit with me. I didn't want to give you the slides because then you're reading it. I'd like you to just absorb his words. He says, as we watch the transition from the atomic to the simple intelligence, from the simple to the personal, from the personal to the cosmic, we find that we are merely going up a scale of unity. The spirit is not something apart from matter, so-called, but is something worked through matter. The potential possibility of what we call the highest and the lowest is inherent in everything. They are not different things. They are the same thing functioning at different levels. I'll breathe that in for a moment. What is he saying? He's saying that when we view something, no matter what it is, the circumstance, a behavior, a habit, we're locking in on one of an infinite amount of perceptions of that very thing. We may see it as evil, we may see it as good, we may see it as but it's all available here and now. It's technically what level of vibration, alignment, awareness are we coming from? That's the question. And so as we're talking today, the title of the talk is The Holy Land is Everywhere. So now maybe going back to that first reading, we recognize it truly is everywhere. But are we tapping in to that vibration, that consciousness, that awareness that it truly is? Everything is, in truth, is happening at different individual levels as well as collective levels. How can that be? Well, consciously, we all decide to show up in this time and space together. So at some level, there's an agreement as to how things are going to work, and yet we each have free will within that, how to play this game. Now, where my mind went to was, what about when we choose to see things as evil? So he says on this part, let me finish, the first part. He continues. He says, there are different mental depths and heights from which we may look out upon life. From whatever we look, that which we see comes back to us by an invariable law of attraction. That which we look upon is real while we look at it. So no matter what it is, we are giving our attention to it, which locks it into reality, manifestation, what is happening in front of us. So even more of a reason to be aware of what is in front of us and our relationship to it. He adds, we arrive at a consciousness of unity only in such degree as we see that we are looking for, we are looking with and looking at heaven. I screwed something up there. Hold on a minute. Sorry. In such degree as we see that we are looking, for, we are looking with and looking at Heaven is lost merely for the lack of a perception of harmony. Hell is the phantom abode of our morbid imaginations. Heaven and hell are states of consciousness. So, what are we saying? Again, his specific words. When we recognize evil, that is our attunement to a belief in that that is possible, and therefore, as we align with those thoughts, collectively or individually, that is by law what must appear. So this is where I wanted to dive into that evil part, because it's very easy. I can say, well, the Holy Land is everywhere, but Joe, did you see what's happening on the news? If heaven was here, why? How could that happen? That doesn't make sense. So here's what he says about evil. He says, there cannot be a law in the universe which demands evil, lack, limitation, and the experience of unhappiness to provide shades to magnify its glory. Therefore, the mystics have taught that evil has only the power to destroy itself. That is not God ordained. From the viewpoint of reality, it is an illusion. But they have not denied it as an experience. Let's pause there. So we're not saying that it's not happening currently. What we're saying is it's an option within the unity that we're choosing, and it's kind of really not alignment, meaning it's getting filtered through our personal ego, human perceptions and filters. The great have not failed to recognize the appearance of evil, but they have separated the appearance from the reality. They have done away with evil as a cosmic entity. And these are all, he wrote all this in caps, all caps. No devil, no hell, no torment, no damnation, outside of one's own state of thought. Again, all caps. No punishment outside of that self-inflicted through ignorance. No salvation outside of conscious cooperation with the infinite. And again, he repeats, heaven and hell are states of consciousness. So, evil, the way I'm going to sum this up, is our individual free use of empowering something as separate and yet more powerful than spiritual source. Take that in for a moment. Because if we were in alignment and recognizing we are in what we experience as the Holy Land in our thought that everything's perfect and happening for our best and highest good, depends on how you tune that. Because it doesn't mean that it's not happening right now. It means that we may not be recognizing the absolute blessings that are all around us now. And are we in, as he says, conscious cooperation with this source, the true source, as Bill likes to call it, the one. There is only one. But if we're a fear of something, that means we fear and we're giving power to something else separate, because we know that God would never would do anything to harm itself. It could not do that. And in the process of doing this, we separate ourselves, kind of turn down that dimmer switch that we of the power and the source that we are necessarily aware of. So how many of you have heard this before? Heaven and hell are states of consciousness. Raise your hands. Most of you, okay. And how many of you believe it? That raised your hands. Okay. So how is your life going so far? But is it? Right? There's always some adjustments that we can make, particularly in this physical reality. And this is why we meet as a community, to recognize the greater good that we are told is available to us, and we're told that there's a way to get there, to recognize the peace, the infinite joy, the infinite unconditional love that source is. And that's, to me, I look at it as a technology. Now, technology is a very, to me, open way of advancing our lives in a positive way. Because if somebody gives you a belief system, you can choose whether or not you believe it. And if someone maybe shares a teaching or a philosophy with you, you can take it, maybe you follow it, maybe you don't, maybe you question it to the point to where you just don't follow it anymore. But a technology, if you choose to use it, must yield results. If you use it consistently, like the technologies that we offer in Centers for Spiritual Living, such as, what would you call a technology that we use? Prayer is a technology. Treatment. Classes, education, meditation, contemplation, right? These are all technologies. Now, we may not understand how they work, but we don't have to. We still don't quite understand electricity, but we know how to tap into it and make our lives very comfortable. And so there's the more consistent and disciplined we are using this technology, the more we are able to advance the recognition of being in the Holy Land, recognizing our power, as Bill prayed, as the one power. It's a unity. It's not my mind and God's mind. That's two minds. It's our individual use of God's mind, our individual use of God's power, our individual use of unconditional love, and so on. So I want to recognize some basics that we hear a lot about, but maybe don't necessarily teach. And so I want to show how some of this technology can work today. Are you along with that? Excellent. Would my subject please come up? Bill Smith, Practitioner Supreme.
You can call me Igor.
All right. Maybe you've seen this, maybe you haven't. This is one that I loved when I used to work in the jail system in the Clark County School District to shift a lot of minds inside that lovely facility. So we recognize that there is one power, it is truth. So therefore, if we're doing something that maybe is not for our best and highest good, there is a way of determining that. So I just call this an arm test, but it's a truth test. So what I'm going to simply do is, this arm, correct? You got room to put it out? There we go.
Is that the direction we're going?
Sure, let me just slide this over maybe so people at home can see a little bit. So this is about as simple as we can do. So I'm going to ask Bill, what is your name, sir? Full name?
William Kenneth Smith.
William Kenneth Smith, and that is your true name.
It is.
Would you hold out your arm, William Kenneth Smith? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bunch of pressure on his arm. I'm going to ask him his name one more time. Is that your name, William Kenneth Smith? Smith?
William Kenneth Smith is my name.
Okay, hold it to be true in your heart and mind.
Yes.
Resist my hand pull. That's probably as hard as I could do. Okay? Now, I want you to make up a name. I want you to tell me your name is Elmer J. Fudd.
My name is Elmer J. Fudd.
Is that your true name?
That is my true name.
True. Elmer J. Fudd is your name.
It is.
Hold that in your heart and your head. Elmer J. Fudd.
It is
Do you see that? Individual use of the power. When we do not align with truth, we are limiting ourselves. No one limits us. Thank you. You may have a seat. Round of applause for Igor. Sometimes seeing is believing. Sometimes. Eventually, it really is when we believe, we will see. So I hope that little demonstration kind of puts us in a position of, think about that for a minute. So if he just literally made up a joke as a lie, I'm Elmer J. Fudd. Does anybody not know who Elmer J. Fudd is in this room? Okay. He's right there, sitting there. He's a millionaire, and he owns a mansion and a yacht. Now, if you know that, that's from no, I lost everybody on that one. It's part of a cartoon. So it's a Bugs Bunny thing. So what does this mean? That source is already within you. Actually, we're within source. Individually, we have free will of the level of alignment or unity that we choose to be with. Now, I want you to pause for just 10 seconds and think of all the things that you tend to tell yourself and how that just may affect your alignment and how much of the truth you're allowing in. Think of all the times that we put ourselves down. Think of all the times we give power to someone else over ourselves, to something else, like our circumstances, over our own true nature. It's kind of like saying, well, I want to be well, and then all I do is talk about how crappy I feel all day long. We're out of alignment, so all of us. I don't get exempt from this. Doing this talk was a good reminder to myself as I was beating myself up for making mistakes while I was doing the talk. How about that? But first step of arise, awareness. Oh, once I'm aware, I now have the power to change it. So, truth is all there is, and it is truly available to everyone, not just in this room, everybody listening, and whether they know it or not. We don't have to know how it works to use it. So this thing I came across of, and I heard it a long time ago when I was doing my psychology classes, and it was called the ladder of being, but I heard it in a more spiritual way, so I wanted to share that with you. Ladder of being. And so at the lowest level, think of it as a hierarchy. The lowest level, they call the base level, which the person that I was watching described it as basically hell, destruction, pure appetite, fear, and they act only on instinct. So it's the lowest base level. The next level up, he said, we're slaves, in the sense of they just obey and they never question. They just go along with what is, and therefore they are slaves to whatever is. Then the next level he called it was ordinary people. He said they think they are in charge and able to change, but they are being run by others and are in a constant state of feeling limited. So it's kind of like they have somewhat of an awareness, but not quite recognizing their own power. And then it goes up to wise and saints, and the highest level, he says, is freedom, which makes sense. At that level of freedom, you are free to, you're recognizing truth, you're recognizing source as yourself, which then gives you domain and power over the domain that you live within. You know who you really are, and you know what you really are. Now, what do I mean by that? Who are you really? Well, we recognize ourselves as divine source. That is the essence of who we are. Yet we also know that we're transitioning, and source is everything and everywhere. So what we are in this moment is source manifest in a human body with a personality. That's what we're doing here. When I recognize that, it still frees me, because I still then get to make a choice of not that, oh, what can I do to feel more? No, I already am that Christ consciousness, that Buddha compassion, and so on. And as I recognize also as that I am free and of the one, that I am open to the infinite intelligence that it is. Again, not my mind and God's mind. My mind is God's mind. God's mind is my mind. I'm using. Again, the analogy of technology, I'm sitting at my computer. I have my individual link of the infinite web, and I'm using it for myself for my specific purposes. So, therefore, when I would never find myself, when I am feeling free and recognize it, in any kinds of bonds, in essence, any limitation, because I'm living through the wisdom of life itself. That is, as far as we know, from the highest scholars that we're aware of, is that's what this is all about. This thing called source, getting to know who and what it is through our individuality. And with each new level of spiritual truth that we become aware of, so it's not just like freedom and that's it. It's infinite, right? So there's always more to become aware of, because I can live my life as any person on this planet or come in as a new and look at a different perspective in a new way. I mean, how many ways are there to experience happiness? How many ways, if I wanted to experience the depths of despair? Infinite. And so again, the more that we recognize spiritual truth, the more freedom we are empowered with and recognize and are enabled then to co-create an experience of heaven within, of being in the Holy Land wherever I am. And we're not talking about the Holy Land as in somewhere in the Middle East, meaning right where you are is always holy, is always sacred, because we never step outside of the power and the presence of the one, of source itself. Now, while we're recognizing ourselves in heaven, it doesn't mean that we don't have discomforts. It doesn't mean that we don't have challenges of any kind. Why do you think that would be? Any answers? We grow through challenges. Exactly. So I've shared with you the time when I was still kind of more of the ordinary person, but I was becoming awake. And I was like, wait a minute, I can be like Jesus? Now, considering I grew up in a Catholic, I'm like, that's a good example. Why would I not want to be like that? And so I'm like, tomorrow, I'm locking it in. I remember telling Tony this. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to be Christ-like tomorrow. I was working in a middle school. I will just say, from the time I woke up to the time I came home in that evening, it did not go anything like I expected. It was not a walk in the Holy Land at all. And I came home, and after a number of cuss words, I was like, WTF, like that is not what he experienced. Maybe it was. And then it hit me. Oh, all of those challenges were opportunities for me to be Christ-like, to align with peace and purpose and love. Otherwise, what do we take on? It's kind of like when I'm talking to, I intake every new student that comes into my school, well, in my alphabet. And, I have them recognize that, you have a long way to go and you're going to have to earn it. I said, if I gave you this piece of paper right now and I have a copy of a high school diploma, I said, I could give this to you right now, and in essence, you may feel like you'd be a fool to decline it, but what have you gained? Do you really feel you earned it? Do you really feel more than, as if you will, and then I make sure I say that, you will when you do earn your diploma and walk across the stage and celebrate your new awareness and your accomplishment? See, it's a shift to let them know that it's a possibility, that there's always shortcuts, but at this point, at this level, you're not getting away with anything, and neither are we. There are no shortcuts because we're the only thing that we're shortcutting. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do something in an easier, more graceful way. That's okay. But when we think we're kind of sidestepping, so to speak, spiritually bypassing, pretending as if, or I don't have to do that, I don't have to do the work. You're right, you do not have to do anything. But yet, the more we open up to this, again, it's almost like we overuse the word infinite, and I wish there was a new way of saying it, but like, how do you describe infinite, right? You want to get really crazy in science, they talk about there are different levels of infiniteness in quantum science, which really, when I listened to it, it somehow made sense, and yet I had to, wait, how did that even remotely make sense? But it is. And so, the Holy Land is everywhere. Now I want to have you tap into a couple other pieces of technology. And what time do we have? Ooh, 43, that's all right. Can't leave without doing this. So, if you want to join me in recognizing some of your personal power, let me take this off. I'm going to ask you to begin to rub your hands, palms together in a very briskly hard way. We're going to do this for about 20 seconds. It's going to get warm, that's okay. We're just going to build up energy. And I'm not talking static, but we are that presence and power right now. Okay? Now what I want you to do is bring them apart and then slowly bring them together and kind of play with it until all of a sudden you're going to feel the energy. It'll be like resistance and then a repelling. That's how I feel it. Can you get there? That's what's available. That's what we're in, and this is what we're made of.
Not only that, if you do this and you expand just little bits, you can feel it grow.
Mm-hmm. Now the other thing I like, thank you, sorry. The other thing I like to do is same thing, and this is always not creeps me out in a good way, is pull it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you do it slowly enough, I got to get my energy back up. There it is. You'll feel it coming right out of the center of your palm. Right there. These are portals of energy. No wonder why when you see pictures of Christ and things, his hands are open, and because that's one of our major sources of energy centers. So that's available. Now here's something we can do at any time, any place, just to really anchor in this idea that it's everywhere. So I'm going to ask you to simply close your eyes and breathe. Take a few short breaths, right? Settle, because we were just pumping blood through our bodies. take a few short breaths. I want you to close your eyes. And as you're breathing, I want you to think, and I'm sure you have many, but of an extremely joyful moment. It could be anything, a birthday, vacation, or just a peaceful scene. No, breathe in the energy that is creating that joy in your system right now. And with this next, we're going to take, in 3 seconds, we're going to take a big breath in, and you're going to amplify that feeling within your body. On the count of 3, 2, 1, big breath in, and amplify that joy. Bring it higher. Put yourself right there. You're in that space right now. It doesn't get any better. You are just living life to the fullest. And now take another deep breath and do it again. Amplify it even more so. There's more. There's always more. Okay, bring it back in. Open your eyes. Now, if you are able, I'm going to ask you to get up and move anywhere else in this room. Yep, I just asked. Anywhere else in this room, if you are able. Julie, you're exempt. All right? And you could do this at home, too. Just go move somewhere else. All right, that's good. Just wherever you are, just pause. All right? Close your eyes. Let's take a breath together. Breathe it in. And I want you to bring that same memory you were just having, pull it back into your consciousness. Breathe into it. Feel that joy again, because it's there. And do your best to amplify it to the highest level that you can. Breathe it in. The joy, the excitement, the people, the passion. One more big breath in together. At the highest level, hold that joy within your system. That peace. Feel the presence of Source itself. Now open your eyes. It doesn't matter where you go. It is you, and it's always within you because you're within it. That is technology that no one can take away. Please be seated in your seat. These are the simple pleasures that we can do anytime and anywhere we go. Standing in line in a long line at the DMV, where do I go? A rainy day in Jamaica. That is my happy place. Best day of my life so far. Well, maybe short of the birth of my children, but with Tony, it was the best day. We were on our honeymoon, and it was, what do you call it, her bad season weather, and it just rained all day, and our hotel was right on the beach. We just opened the doors and listened to the ocean, and the rain hit the ocean for, 8 hours straight probably, and we just took turns napping. That I just let everything go. It was probably the most at peace I've been since then. I haven't come anywhere near that lately. But it's there because I just went. So it's powerful if we use it. And did you notice that even though you went somewhere else and you kind of broke up that energy, did you notice it was easier to get back to that point again? The point about that is the more we practice, the more we can get and experience that. And then eventually we won't even have to practice because it's a habitual nature of our body. We are just being that presence, whatever it that you're trying to express. Right? So it goes wherever we go. Why? Well, the 3 words that we use, it's omnipotent. Well, how do I always say potent? Say it for me. Omnipotent. Yeah, I break it down phonetically. So what does that mean? All powerful. It's omniscient. It already knows what we're looking for. That's why it is us, can deliver it. Why? Because any level of that, the very thing we were saying, is we're choosing what level to experience each and every moment. And it's, of course, omnipresent, meaning it's everywhere, which we just showed. So I want to anchor in the other technology that we're using for ourselves as a community, which is the cards, the Arise, because it is a technology. And I've been using it enough even in my own life, right? So going through it yet, because I want to really anchor this in, because if we're going to grow, we need to fill in all these seats on a regular basis. And so when I talk as if they're already filled. Because why? Because that's up on my radar. That's what I'm aligning to, is a full room. Actually, I'm aligning to a much bigger room than I'm looking at, because that's a potential that I want to come from. And so the awareness allows us to notice what we're noticing. So if someone says, what does that mean, awareness? You're noticing what you're noticing. Why is that important? Because it then puts us in a place of power to change. Now, radical responsibility, that could scare some people off. But what does that mean? It means that we are taking full responsibility for every relationship I have. Right now, there's a relationship to this room, to each one of you, to online, and I'm taking responsibility for it. Now, let's be clear. I'm not responsible for you, right? But let's say you stand up and say, Joe, you're full of beepity beep. I'm still responsible for the way I respond to that. That still showed up at some level of my awareness. There it is. How am I going to be in that moment, come from? Am I going to show peace, or am I going to get aggravated and look at it as another challenge that is more powerful than me in the current moment? Inside-out living. What does that mean? Well, we just kind of showed it, didn't we? When we go within and we create the space and the place and the presence, that will show up. We feel it in our senses first, and eventually, if we practice it long enough, it must show up in our reality. That's what we do. And while we're in that inside-out place, it's good to discover a little, another I word is investigate. If maybe I'm aware and I'm not feeling necessarily great, go a little deeper as to what are the thoughts, and usually they are limiting thoughts, that we can identify and then shift, because we're now aware of them, to then feel more expanded and express more. And lastly, S. Spirit, source is all there is. And we just recognize that. We can take that with us anytime we choose. It doesn't mean we're not going to experience challenges, but at the same time, if we truly recognize that those challenges are an answer to a prayer, because I'm feeling limited in some way, and here's an opportunity saying, you want to feel rich? Well, maybe we have a little money go out, and you recognize that you have the money to take care of things. Every time I have to fix my car, I used to just whine so badly. Of course it had to break now, of course. And then one day, a long time ago, I found out that not only was one of my students living in a car, but him, his 3 children, and the mother were living in a car. And how dare I complain about having to fix mine that I have the money to repair with? Even when I don't, I have a job that I know eventually I will pay that off. So what am I aligning to? Am I aligning to lack, limitation, or do I recognize the abundant nature of all life will always supply, right? Again, if it's only source being expressed, why would it ever short itself? Only we can do that. And then lastly is everyone is evolving, and technically speaking, we're already that. But in this reality, in this place of being, okay, we haven't fully recognized it yet, but everything we do allows us to take the next step further. We may not be aware of it, but we all are. So on this journey of remembering our true selves, there's only forward progress, especially when we don't feel it. So as a community, this is where we need to rely on each other, especially our practitioners for prayer. That is a technology. And what our practitioners are trained in to recognize that your circumstances have no power over you. Now, there's only one mind, so how are they able to pray for you? Because they're using the same mind that you're using, but in a more streamlined way. They're not giving power to anything except truth, spirit, what we call universal principle. So, you are perfect right where you are. You are already walking in that holy land. Just remember it. Just practice it. And you must experience it in your life. Yes? Okay. So we do have an affirmation. So one slide. I lied. We have one slide, I guess. So it's our affirmation. So let's do what we do. Let's stand up together, and we'll practice this. Well, we'll proclaim it together. So it's wherever I walk is holy land. Heaven is here and now. Spirit is forever who I am. We'll say that together 2 times. First, one time through. 3, 2, 1. Wherever I walk is holy land. Heaven is here and now. Spirit is forever who I am. All right. Now call that joyful place. Bring that energy with you real quick. Take a deep breath. Call that joyful energy, and now we're going to say this together from that place. 3, 2, 1. Wherever I walk is holy land. Heaven is here and now. Spirit is forever who I am. And so it is. Be seated, please. All right, so we'll end this in prayer. As we do, another technology. I first recognize that source is all there is. And I may not understand it fully, but I know truth because it shows up in me, as me, and I see it in everyone else and in everything else. And as I align to it, my life only gets better and better. And I know this truth for everyone in our community. I know this truth for everyone, period. All the animals of the planet are already there. They know who they are, as I know who I am. They know what they're doing here, which is experiencing joy at the highest level. I know that to be true for myself and my community. And I anchor that in and affirm that this community is truly love in action. It is in a process of sharing our individual evolution with each other on this path for however long we're on it. I recognize and I'm grateful for this community growing, not only in numbers, but just in awareness, so that we may share this truth with the greater community. It's not about numbers. It's about aligning to truth, aligning to the peace, the joy, the unconditional love. I declare that is happening now. I know that life is prosperous, abundant, beautiful, and this is what I choose to look and see and find everywhere I go every day. I recognize that within me, both heaven and hell exist, but only one has power. And as I align with truth, it is truly heavenly within my mind, within my spirit, and therefore within my affairs. God is good and only good, and is love unconditional, and so it is. Amen. Hallelujah. All right. Where are we at? Because I tapped out there from that. We are at prosperity. Why not? Why not? So I want to say thank you, because the fact that you're here, and I know each one of you is giving in the best way that you can, that is what allows us to keep doing this week after week and continue to grow, and grow we are. And so I am grateful for that. We all know the ways to give, and so what we're going to do now, we have our affirmation. If you have your gift on you, hold it up, put it over your heart. If you've already given it or you've given online, that's okay still. Have a good thought in your mind, intention with our community, with this center, seeing it strive, and we're going to say this together. I am overflowing with love and abundance. I give from the source of my being, which is rich and unlimited. With joy and excitement, I share from this overflow. In return, the universe gives back to me in infinite ways, channels, and means, and so it is. So this is our time of giving. Our bowl is over there. Please take an affirmation card with you, the law of giving and receiving. We want to give back to you. And do know that the proceeds that we receive, the offerings, we do give 10% back to our communities, different organizations that are helping our local community. So you are helping our community in more ways than maybe you're aware of, and I want to make sure that you're aware of that. We do recognize we're not on an island. We're in another community. So thank you for helping our community, our spiritual community, as well as St. George in southern Nevada, or southern Utah, excuse me. Okay.
so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Soon to a spiritual center near you, Rachel and I also created new affirmation cards that will be coming out soon. So, all right, join me in recognizing divine abundance and prosperity, that is and of God, the very presence of God. If everything is God, then money is a channel and a means of recognizing and awareness and serving. And that is what we are doing. We are gratefully serving our community as right here at CSL St. George in southern Utah. And we are grateful to recognize that abundance is everywhere, not just in money, but in health and relationships and well-beingness. It is truly an infinite world, and we tap into the most that we are in this moment and know there is more and good and more good and more good. Doobie doobie do. All is well, and so it is. Yes. Doobie doobie do. All right, announcement, sir. William Kenneth Smith.
Unfortunately, there is no Zoom conversation today. But stick around and we'll have nosh together and conversate there. Nosh? We'll eat. We'll have food. Okay. Next in-person service is October 19th, which happens to be a week from today.
We are meeting next week in person. Don't forget.
In NBA terms, we're in the bonus. Okay, all right. Upcoming services, Reverend Joe and Reverend Rachel will be talking on the 19th about inner illumination. Yeah. You're both going to talk about inner illumination?
We're doing it together.
Okay.
Yes, and then I'm just recognizing your title isn't there.
Yeah.
But you are doing the talk for last week.
And I will be doing the talk on the 26th, and it is about the death process, which is going to be fun. We're going. Well, you know, it's like in a lot of cultures they celebrate the Day of the Dead, and it's a live, exciting kind of fun look at celebration of life, and so that's where we're going to go. Instead of Halloween, we'll be talking about the Day of the Dead. Prayer requests are available. I mean, it still cracks me up what AI did to us. There's a 30-year-old Bill up there, and. But the point of that is, practitioners are available at any time. If anybody wants prayer this afternoon or this after service, we'll go right behind the partition there and have prayer. Even if it's just, and it doesn't have to be a catastrophic thing. I mean, I just want to have prayer for good things that have happened to me this week. Come on, let's do it. But outside of service, if you go on our website to the About page, click on any one of the pictures of the practitioners. It'll take you to our email address, and you can send us an email request for prayer, and then we tie in the whole organization when that happens. So, all right, volunteer operations. Reverend Joe talked a little bit about it earlier. We've got our soundboard tech, video streaming tech, greeters, kitchen support. Okay, so. Again, we appreciate all the work that everybody does, but there's always room for more. Okay, we can always use more volunteers. Your hands, your heart, your home. All right, used bookstore is in the rear. There's some really cool books in there. I was putting them out this morning, and we've got some good stuff in there. So anyway, browse a collection, take one home, leave a donation for it. And thank you for supporting our community through in that way. It really says that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Sue Fulmer is going to be putting on a woo-woo workshop October 26th. After I give my talk, then she's going to go woo-woo with it. It'll be after service from 12:30 to 2. There is a sign-up sheet over here that she would appreciate, or we would all appreciate you signing up if you're intending to come. And the discussion will be about near-death experience, past lives, mediumship, clairvoyance, clairaudience, synchronicity, signs, symbols, oracle readings, tarot, energy healing, and more. So lots of woo-woo. Should be a lot of fun. And then, yep, Tim. Tim, you want to come up? Tim joined our core council several months ago and has immediately hit the ground running, working on our outreach efforts. And he does a fantastic job. We're so grateful for the work he does there. He wants, yeah. He wanted to talk about a couple specific ones today, so I'm going to turn it over to Tim and let you go to town.
Okay, thank you, Bill. First of all, not directly with today, I wanted to acknowledge we had a very successful visit last week at the Pride Fair that went on here in St. George. And Rev Joe came up and spent the day with us. And we greeted, close to 50 people, I think.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
Easy, yes. So that was part of our community outreach that went very well. Continuing our theme of abundance, we have a couple of organizations that CSL has contributed to in the past, and they're coming up with fundraisers in the next few weeks. The first is the Crop Walk to End Hunger. Who is not familiar with the Crop Walk? Okay, there are a few. This is a national and international effort that started way back, I think, in the 40s after the war, here in this country with the farmers that wanted to find a way to send their surplus to the needy people in other countries. Over time, it's evolved to one of the fundraising walks. It is coordinated by the National Council of Churches, and here in St. George, it's sponsored by the Interfaith Council. And they're having a walk on Saturday, November 8th, here in St. George. It's a 6-mile walk, and the 6 miles reflects the estimate of the amount of miles some people in third countries have to walk to obtain food. That's where that comes from. So it's happening on Saturday, November 8th at Larkspur Park in Bloomington Hills. And we have information and pledge envelopes. It's a walk. If you're familiar with these walks, the process is that you can ask your relatives and friends to pledge to support you in walking or walk themselves. So this is an opportunity for all of us that have younger members that would love to do this, a great deal. But the secret, of course, is you don't have to walk. So we have information and pledge envelopes. If you're interested in making a contribution, the Center for Spiritual Living has is the overall team, and your contributions would go to this to that team's contributions. So please check on the side. Secondly, the other organization that we have donated to in the past is SwitchPoint. SwitchPoint, the homeless shelter here in St. George, started 10 years ago and has grown and is now expanding amazingly up into northern Utah, because the formula they're using is very successful and people are seeing it. They have now over 300 employees, believe it or not, statewide. not to mention the thousands of volunteers that do the daily work. So they're having a fall fundraiser, and this is a trick. They do it every year. This year, thanks to the negotiation by the CEO, Carol Hollowell, who I'm sure many of you are familiar with, they're holding it at the Black Desert Resort on Halloween morning, not evening, but morning. It's kind of a quasi-breakfast session. So 2 reasons to consider going if you have the time. One is to check out that fancy new Black Desert Resort, which is the world-class golf course and all that associated activity. This is a chance to go visit and see it up front. And secondly, to hear what is going on with Switchpoint and getting the annual updates that they provide. So there's no cost to going to the event. It is a fundraising ask, but there's no cost to attend. So it's an opportunity to get a double whammy, get familiar with one of our new sites in town, and to hear the update directly from Carol Hollowell on Switchpoint's developments. So, question?
When is that happening?
Oh, I'm sorry. Halloween, October 31st, 8:30 to 10 in the morning.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay? So, these are both out there.
Well, if you were wondering, yes, there is peace on earth. So if you'd like to stand up, we're going to sing about it. Yes, there is peace on earth, and now it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, loved ones all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, faith begins with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and now it begins with me.
Next week, everybody, namaste. Thank you.